per person. Complete with beloved characters, Broadway-style shows, imaginative dining, exciting spaces for kids and relaxing adults-only areas. Offer ends July 25th. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Visit pht.com.au.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Showers easing and windy, a high of 16. With the 3 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig. 5 Little Shining Stars early learning centres have been hit with emergency action notices for failing to comply with national law and regulations. The Education Standards Board investigated a complaint of inappropriate discipline at the Clemzig Centre, and 3 female staff members were subsequently terminated. During the investigation, it was found photos were being taken and stored of children on service devices for the purpose of evidencing minor injuries and nappy rash. The ESB considered some of the images inappropriate and referred the matter to SAPOL, which found no evidence to support criminal charges. A further 4 emergency action notices have been issued to the other services of Little Shining Stars in Paraka, Virginia, Wayville and Evanston due to the practice. Further regulatory action may be taken, including prosecution. The Reserve Bank has stunned financial markets, leaving interest rates on hold after a 2-day board meeting. Michael Packy reports.
In the lead-up to today's decision, well over 90% of analysts had expected interest rates to come down by 0.25%. Instead, the RBA board has surprised the market, keeping the official cash rate on hold at 3.85%. This is despite ongoing uncertainty about the direction of the global economy. In its statement, the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Board says the jobs market remains strong and inflation is moderating. The board wants to see more economic data before considering whether there should be a rate reduction. But we also learnt the board was split, with 3 of the 9 members pushing for a rate cut.
A driver's in hospital in a serious condition after a tree fell on top of his ute at Williamstown, crushing it. The ute was driving along Warren Road just before midday when the gum tree came down. Members of the public with chainsaws helped cut it off the roof and free the driver and his dog. The dog escaped injury. It comes after wind gusts reaching 100 k's an hour were recorded in parts of the state this morning. The state government's finally announced some assistance for SA professional fishers and charter boat operators reeling from the algal bloom. Licence fees will be waived and fishers who've already paid will be reimbursed. The state opposition says it's welcome but not enough. Primary Industries Minister Claire Scriven says more assistance could be forthcoming.
This is the initial step and we'll continue to work together in terms of developing what might be needed as we go on, particularly if this algal bloom does continue, which unfortunately looks quite likely.
Texas locals are telling their stories of survival amid the devastating flooding in parts of the state. At least 104 people have now been confirmed dead and 41 are still missing. Questions are being raised about what alerts were issued and when. This man says he woke to find the water about to destroy his home.
I grabbed my wife and we literally jumped in the water and it swept us down to about 200 feet down that way. And there's a crepe myrtle tree that we grabbed hold of and we waited for rescue.
And a man has been charged with animal cruelty, accused of grabbing and eating a live fish at a Sydney pet shop. Police have been told he consumed the fish and then left the business before returning to pay for it. The 20-year-old is due in court next month. Now turning to 5AA sport, and long-time Port Adelaide assistant coach Chad Corns has been told his contract won't be renewed next year when Josh Carr takes over as coach. The club says it wanted to provide him with clarity as early as possible. Meantime, power ruckman Dante Vicentini is going under the knife today to repair an ankle injury. Forward Sam Powell-Pepper's at home recovering from a second knee recon in as many years. An injured Crows star, Josh Rochelle, is aiming for a return during the Crows finals campaign. He's expected to be sidelined for 8 weeks after knee surgery. Novak Djokovic has heaped praise on Alex de Minaur after beating him at Wimbledon. The 7-time champion dropped the first set before winning their fourth-round match in 4.
One of the toughest opponents you can have on this kind of given day conditions where it's very windy, and he's so quick, constantly puts pressure on you, constantly makes you play, and he's also a very smart player.
Heartbreak for Grigor Dimitrov, though, who was 2 sets up against world number 1 Yannick Sinner before he was forced to retire hurt. Also through to the quarters, Ben Shelton, Iga Swiatek and Maria Andreeva. Now checking 5AA traffic.
G'day there at Morford Vale. A twisted traffic light on Penalatinga Road near Baines Road. Gillis Plains, blackout affecting multiple sets of traffic lights on Sutholtz Road and Green Junction Road. And we are slow for works at Glen Osmond at the moment, Port Rice Road near Giles Road. Carrose Gorge Road, Athelson and East Terrace at Henley Beach today. This tax time, switch to H&R Block and you can get more with a maximum refund guarantee. More help, more expertise, more options. Search H&R Block, more for sure. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
To the weather, showers easing and windy, a high of 16. Rain tomorrow, 13. Showers on Thursday, 14. And showers and 16 for Friday. Right now, 14. Now let's see what's happening on 9 News tonight.
I'm Kate Collins. Tonight, a shock for mortgage holders with interest rates kept on hold. The explosive interview from the doctor who first raised the alarm over mushroom murderer Erin Patterson. South Australia's algae outbreak spreads. Researchers uncover a link between belly fat and dementia, plus Aldi's foray into home delivery. 9 News, your news, nightly at 6 on 9 and 9 now.
The 5AA Sports Show, Rowie and Timmy G.
Some better news at West Lakes for Crows supporters. Here's Josh Rochelle.
Yeah, good news is structurally everything's pretty well, so no ACL damage, which I'm very lucky.
He is lucky, because we all thought, when we watched it live, that mechanism of when you're in the air.
The 5AA Sports Show.
Good result. You need a little bit of luck, don't you?
Yep.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide. Stay informed, get involved. 5AA. Always Adelaide. 5AA Afternoons with Leith, Forrest.
Great to have your company on this Tuesday afternoon. It is 8 minutes after 3. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. If you'd like to see us, you can do that too. Our Complete Care live stream is now working thanks to Facebook and YouTube. You can see our great guests in the next hour before we hand over the reins to Campo and Tim doing the sports show from 4 o'clock. And to start this hour, we're going to talk about beer, which is something that I don't know a lot about, to be honest, because I'm a non-drinker. However, we love to celebrate great South Australian businesses, great South Australian people and families. So SA Brewers once again excelled at the Royal Adelaide Beer and Cider Awards. They took out the majority of the awards. This is managed by the Horticultural and Agricultural Society. Celebrates beers and excellence from right around the world, Australia, New Zealand. It's beer, it's cider. It was established back in the mid-1800s and has been going strong since. And I'm happy to say that Adelaide Hills Prancing Pony Brewery cleaned up. Corinna Steeb is the CEO and co-founder, joins us this afternoon. Corinna, lovely to see you and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. Yes.
You're going to have to help me out here. We're having this conversation off air. As a non-drinker, I don't understand why your Prancing Pony beer is so good, but it would be because you won 9 medals. So congratulations. What is it about your beers that people love?
I think when you're looking at making beer, you're always trying to make them to style. And in those awards, the beer styles are going to be judged. So there are different categories and people enter their beer and you really got to enter them super fresh. That's the first thing. And then they need to be to style. So if you enter a lager, it needs to be tasting, looking and behaving like a lager. And if you enter a dark ale, it's the same. You're looking for varying characteristics, how roasty the malt is, how many flavors you're going to get, and how best you have described as you enter your beers into the awards.
So 13 years you've been around Prancing Pony?
Yes.
This is the third time you've taken out the Champion Small Brewery Award.
We've taken the Champion Small Brewery Award out twice, and we've taken out the Champion medium-sized brewery out. A couple of years ago, there were 3 categories, small, medium and large. Nowadays, it's only the small and the large.
Gotcha. Take us back 13 years. How did you get into it? Were you a beer enthusiast and thought, you know what, I need my own brewery. I can make beers better than these.
Well, the brewer is my husband, Frank Sampson, and he and I met over beer spikes and blues many, many moons back. And we're both what we would describe dedicated beer drinkers. That is, we prefer drinking beer over any other alcoholic beverage because we think it's an extremely sociable drink and it makes us enjoy an afternoon when we have varying beers. And it all started in about 1982. We just arrived freshly in Australia. We come from Germany, where we drank a lot of German-style beers, and somehow we couldn't quite click with the Australian beer, and so Frank decided he would make his own. But it wasn't until the late 80s when he traveled to California and he came across the craft beers over there, in particular Sierra Nevada, and he brought back a pale ale, put it on the table and said, this is what beer needs to taste like, and I'm going to learn how to make it. So he has been brewing since about 1989 in full grain, and so not with brewing kits like most home brewers start off.
Yes.
And I knew I was in trouble when a pallet of glass arrived at our doorstep. And I thought, this doesn't look like home brewing anymore. This looks more like a small brewery. So we put a business model together and we opened our doors about 13 years ago.
And look at you now. You're flying. So I guess it's genetics. You would have had a good taste for beers. The Aussie beers didn't match up. So you go into the business. You're going to have to help me out here. This is Beer for Dummies. There'll be people in the audience who will understand all of this, but help me out here. So when we talk about some of the awards that you won at the recent awards, your Piper WC IPA.
So our Piper is a West Coast IPA to style.
Right.
And that means that the hop flavors are a little bit more herbaceous rather than fruity or flowery. And this is a beer that Frank has first made 7 years ago. And every year when we entered it, it didn't quite get a gold. So this year we were absolutely stoked and over the moon when it got a gold, because each time when the judges give you feedback, you try to improve on your brew to just get it right. And he got it right. So it's a very much a loved beer. People love the Piper. And it's our second highest selling beer. Our highest selling beer is our India Red Ale, which is a 7.9% beer. It's reddish in color, and it's got beautiful, complex flavors from both the malt and the hops. So
what I've learned, Corinna, doing these kind of shows on the radio over 20 plus years is that with wines, you know, red wines in winter, white wines in summer, these beers, can you have them at any time? Do you have a different beer for a different moment, do you think, at Prancing Pony, or your beers are so good it doesn't matter when?
We always say the best beer is the one that you hold in your hand, really. Yes, there are. Obviously, in summer when it's hot, you're looking for beers that are more hydrating and a bit lighter in the ABV style, in the alcohol content. And you may look at some more gaffable session style beers or even a mid-strength beer. And then in winter, you're most probably looking at something that matches better with the food that you're eating. So if you're having a stew or soups, then you most probably want to go with a darker style beer, from an amber to a dark ale or even a stout. So yes, there are beers for a moment, but then some people love, like myself, I love drinking our black ale, and I have that summer and winter. And in summer, I pour a bit over vanilla ice cream, and it tastes fantastic.
Really? Beer and ice cream?
Yeah.
Oh, next time you got to come in, we've got to try that on the camera. We'll get someone to. Oh, would I try beer and maybe? If you close your eyes, it tastes a little bit like coffee, chocolate, and cold espresso. So I think. Imagine my first hangover, Corinna, is from beer and ice cream.
You wouldn't get
No, I don't know. I've never drunk. The Cascadian Double Black, that won a gold medal for you too.
Yes, it did. In actual fact, the year before, it won us a champion trophy. It was in 2024. It was. Given the highest gold medal of the show. It is a very hop-forward beer, but it is a dark beer, and at 8%, the malt balances very nicely with the hop to give you just a really beautiful dark beer experience.
You also had the Hopwork Orange, the Sunshine Ale, the Zeppelin NE IPA, the black ale. Do you feel the love from South Australia? And then the people, we're proud that you're from here and that, the Prancing Pony brand is so popular. I was talking to Sam Cafone about you from Powell's, Parafield Airport Liquor, who put us in touch, because there is a sense of ownership, I guess, with you, your company and your beers.
Yes. So unlike some other breweries over the years, we have been able to maintain completely South Australian owned, which is really important for us. We got a huge following up in the Adelaide Hills. I'm always overwhelmed how many people come in on a Friday or they come in on a Wednesday into our brewery. We've just opened up a second location in collaboration with the Deep Blue Cafe down in Moana. And if you live on the southern beaches, you would love that spot. It's one of the most beautiful spots on the beach, and having a second outlet where we can serve the customers, the locals down there.
Yes.
We just feel so much love around.
Because you've got the Totnes and you've got Moana,
yes,
don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a great opportunity to just spread in a way and showcase our beers, but also I think we have become a little bit more than beer. We create very much a community. We very often involved in significant fundraisers. And having heard your previous story, we have done a lot along the lines for our local CFS. Each year we do a raffle and all of the proceeds go to them, and Frank and I personally match it. And it's, really fulfilling when you know that you're supporting your local community, which in turn supports you back.
Well done. I don't understand how the beer game works. So apart from coming to see you in Totnes and in Moana, obviously we can pick them up from independents, places like Powell's and everywhere else. Is it easy to get into pubs and clubs? Are you able to get your beers in there, or do people go, am I going down a dangerous path? I just want more people to experience your beers, Corinna.
So you've opened a Pandora's box with this one.
Sorry.
So you can get our beers very broadly distributed. We are in Dan Murphy's and we are in the likes of Celebrations and the independent bottle stores. Getting our beers on taps is very difficult because we often cut out by the large breweries. And this is all large breweries because there are often tap contracts in place.
Right.
And this means that there may be in a pub where you have 8 or 9 taps, there may only be one of those taps which is available for independent breweries like ourselves and the other 62 independent breweries in South Australia, and we all fight for that one tap. So with 16 beers of each brewery, you can imagine how often your beer is going to be showcased. It's
hard,
very hard.
It's not right.
It's not right in a way. And, a lot of punters often are not aware that some of the beers that are being poured that look like craft beer are actually owned by 2 international large companies and not by South Australian companies at all.
We want to support South Australia. We want to support you and the amazing work that you do. All right, so I guess do medals like this, it'd be a nice pat on the back for you, but I guess at the end of the day, you just want people to enjoy your beer, to have a good time and to, think about when they want a beverage of choice that they come to Prancing Pony.
Yeah, I think beer is a moderate beverage of choice. It's definitely not one that is very high in alcohol. Even, a very high alcohol beer like an 8 or 9% beer is significantly lower than, let's say, a wine or a spirit that you're having. So it's a much more sociable drink. We love it when people come into our brew shed and go into Moana and drink our beers there, or if they pack up buy a 4-pack in one of the bottled shops and take it home and have a party at home. That's absolutely fantastic. People can find us at many of the beer festivals that we're doing around the country and get exposed to the beers in that way. And they can certainly order our beers online. And at the moment, because so much love has come our way, we're sending some love back, and we have free shipping for the entire month of July for our beers online. So if you want to get some beer, get it now and save yourself the shipping, and that is Australia-wide.
Beautiful. Well done. Well, congratulations, first and foremost, on everything you've been able to achieve over the 13 years, for cleaning up at the recent awards for the Royal Adelaide Beer and Cider Awards. Last question, probably been asked a million times. The Prancing Pony comes from where? What was the inspiration for the name?
Oh, it comes from the Lord of the Rings. If you look at the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings, there is only one pub. And the pub is called the Prancing Pony Inn, and it's in Bree. And Frank and I picked that name when we lived in Ireland for a year, in the year 2000, and we visited the area where Tolkien wrote his Lord of the Rings story. And Frank said, if we ever have a pub, it will have to look like the Prancing Pony Inn in Bree.
That is excellent. That is a great origin. I've been to Hobbiton in New Zealand, where I've seen sort of bits and pieces, but that's a great backstory. Well done. Well, congratulations. Lovely to meet you first and foremost. As I say, we love to champion anything South Australian. We want people to buy local. That's what it's all about. Corinna Steve is the CEO and co-founder of the Prancing Pony Brewery, cleaning up at the Royal Adelaide Beer and Cider Awards. How many? 8 medals you took out?
8 medals. No, 9 medals.
9 medals. 8, 9. Champion Small Brewer of 2025. Congratulations. Lovely to meet you. Well done.
Much.
Continue. And come back and visit us with that ice cream beer. You've got to do that.
I will make sure you get some.
Man, imagine that. That would be something. I'm almost 50, Corinna. I know the face says otherwise, but I've never had like proper beer. This could be it.
You can easily match it with sweets, very easily.
Well, you got me at sweets. Thank you. Lovely to see you. Corinna from Prancing Pony, my guest.
Catch the 5AA Fishing Show, presented by Ned McHenry, Tuesday nights from 6:30. See the full Yamaha Marine range at Christie's Beach Marine, South Coast Marine, Yamaha Pitmans and Coast Road Motors.
Adelaide, can you hear the roar? The British and Irish Lions are coming in a one-night-only event this July. 6 nations will clash in the heart of Adelaide at the iconic Adelaide Oval. Witness the pinnacle of international rugby when the best of England, Ireland, Wales and Scotland join forces to take on a combined Australia and New Zealand juggernaut. One tour, one chance. Don't miss out. Secure your tickets now at Ticketek.
Unlock your next getaway with a chance to win one of 2 Crusader caravans, plus 50k in vouchers to be won nationally. Buy the advertiser, find today's code word and enter at winwithnews.com.au. T's and C's apply. T25/904.
Transform your home with the Inspired by Life sale at Choices Flooring. Save on a range of stylish carpet, timber, rugs and window furnishings. Visit choicesflooring.com to download the catalogue or visit your nearest Choices Flooring showroom today.
Let me tell you about the Adelaide Central Market. I love the Adelaide Central Market. It is a must any day of the week, but in particular, you've got to get there for the big events. And Bastille Day is coming up, and maybe you're after some cheese or you're after some crepes, some champagne. Merci très bien, because Bastille Day back at the market, France's national holiday over 2 exciting days this coming Friday and Saturday. There's so much lined up too at school holidays, so there's activities for the kids, there's free cooking demos, not to mention champagne bar, crepes and more, live music, French atmosphere, the Can-Can, Friday night opera. You can stock up on all your favourite French goodies Friday and Saturday, Bastille Day at the Central Market. Think a baguette, think a croissant, think some small goods and, of course, the delicious cheese. AdelaideCentralMarket.com. Take your taste buds to France.
You wake up and you're feeling a bit off. Your nose is runny, but maybe it's just a cold. That scratchy throat, though, that could be something worse.
Test for COVID, Flu A, Flu B and RSV in just minutes with Cell Life, the premium 4-in-1 rapid antigen test. Fast, reliable results. Make the smart choice for your health and your family. Insist on the brand the healthcare professionals prefer. Cell Life at leading chemists and Amazon. CELLIFE.
When deciding on a gas fireplace for your home heating, you may think they all look the same. Well, at the gas shop, we're more than happy to
turn the lights down low. So you can see how different each one is. That's a beautiful thing. Heating, cooking, comfort, turn on to the gas shop. 161 Unley Road, opposite Target.
At Blackwell Funerals, we care about what matters most. When it comes to saying goodbye, we're here with compassion, dignity and support. Visit blackwellfunerals.com.au to learn more.
5AA Afternoons with Leith, Forrest.
26 minutes after 3. Andrew on the text says, what a great segment with Corinna. I'm off to get myself an Indian red ale. Do it, Andrew. Drink responsibly. But as someone who doesn't live in that beer world, I think it's just another chance for us to celebrate all things great South Australian, support local families and brewers and the workers of Prancing Pony. If you can get to either of the locations, check out the new one there at Moana or go into your local independent. Why would you not? Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate the text. Before we get to headlines, and we've got another great South Australian story for you on the way after 3:30. So the Reserve Bank today has not delivered the interest rate cut that had been widely forecast. They've kept the cash rate on hold at 3.85%. This has defied financial markets and the expectations that they had. There was a lot of talk about a 0.25% point cut. That was what the economists were suggesting. Here's Michelle Bullock, the RBA governor.
Since the May meeting, the 2 monthly CPI indicators have been broadly consistent with our forecast for headline inflation and show that we're moving in the right direction. However, some components suggest that underlying inflation in the June quarter could be a little higher than our forecast. Wages growth has eased over the past year, but growth in unit labour costs remains elevated alongside continued weak productivity growth. By our next meeting in 5 weeks, we will have the June quarter CPI, another labour market reading, further information about international developments and an updated set of forecasts. So the board decided to wait a few weeks to confirm that we're still on track to meet our inflation and employment objectives.
RBA Governor Michelle Bullock there. Jim Chalmers, our Treasurer, also had his say.
The Reserve Bank statement makes it clear that we've made substantial and sustained progress in the fight against inflation, and that's why interest rates have already been cut twice in the last 5 months this year. Those 2 interest rate cuts already in the system over the last 5 months are already providing relief to millions of Australians with a mortgage. Now, we've seen that when central banks cut interest rates around the world, they don't necessarily cut at every single meeting. But it is clear now the direction of travel on inflation and on interest rates has been established. And as the Governor makes clear in the statement, the board has decided to wait for more information in order to inform future decisions about interest rates. Now, it's worth remembering that the latest monthly inflation figures show that both headline and underlying inflation were in the bottom half of the Reserve Bank's target band for the first time since August 2021.
So there is Jim Chalmers talking about the rates being held at 3.85%. Make of that what you will. Not the greatest live stream, I do apologise, but there you go, bringing you up to date. Headlines on the way. Far more exciting story for you next.
Feeling the calm of the ocean. Making it to my daughter's wedding. Lunch with the grandkids. This is palliative care. From the time you or a loved one is diagnosed with a life-limiting illness, Palliative Care Connect can provide you with information and links to palliative care and emotional support services across South Australia. Learn more at palliativecareconnect.com.au. Palliative Care Connect is supported by funding from the Australian Government Department of Health and Aged Care.
Kangaroo Island. It's closer than you think. Wilder than you know. More than you imagined. This winter, get a free night on selected 3 and 4 night stays. Book your Kangaroo Island ferry and accommodation at sealink.com.au or call 13 13 01 today. Terms and conditions apply.
There's one word that should be deleted forever. It transcends language, culture, geography, status, and it doesn't discriminate. That word is cancer, and until we can delete it, we're going to treat it. Lift Cancer Care is dedicated to offering additional cancer services to complement your existing treatment plan. We collaborate closely with your medical team to achieve the best outcomes for your diagnosis. So, if you or a loved one are ever struck with the C word, think of the L word first. liftcancercare.com.au.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Good afternoon, I'm Kendall Brettig. 5 Little Shining Stars early learning centres have been hit with emergency action notices for taking and storing photos of children. The Reserve Bank has disappointed home buyers, leaving interest rates on hold. Men who carry excessive belly fat face a higher risk of developing dementia. And Players Association President Darcy Moore is backing the AFL running an in-season tournament. Showers easing and windy, a high of 16. At the moment, 13. More news at 4 o'clock on 5AA, Always Adelaide.
There's a lot to love about learning just about anything you want with WEA. Just name it. And remember, it's real-time, face-to-face learning, so you'll always get answers to your questions. WEA has 22 language courses on offer and over 80 cooking and wine appreciation courses. You can learn about canine nutrition for better health, self-defence for women, or DIY wedding flowers and fun with floral art. For face-to-face learning you'll love, visit wea-sa.com.au.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early. Or late. Either way, the Olympic Industry Sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA-engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough, or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industry Sale. On now.
No matter what your lifestyle looks like, if you have a home care package, you can choose who cooks your meals. Local Kitchen Co is an Adelaide-owned, NDIS-approved provider dedicated to delivering nutritious, affordable, home-style meals straight to your door. Every meal is thoughtfully planned, made with fresh local ingredients and generously portioned. With weekly changing menus, there's always something new to try. So if you've got a home care package and you like your meals locally made and delicious, search Local Kitchen Co and order today.
Always trusted. 5AA. Always Adelaide. 5AA Afternoons with Leith, Forrest.
Great to have your company on this Tuesday afternoon, 27 minutes to 4. Our live stream for Complete Care, Facebook, YouTube. You can see us now. Always try to get really interesting guests in after 3 o'clock. We try to get interesting guests the whole show, to be fair, but particularly if they can come into the studio and talk to us. And this is a great story, and maybe a story that you don't know about, but again, in the efforts of championing great South Australian people, it's been described as a baptism of ice. It's a new documentary by the name of Iron Winter. It's an epic documentary from some Adelaide filmmakers that's been shot in the harsh Mongolian winter. Adelaide filmmaker Ben Galotta is here. Lovely to see you, Ben. Thank you for coming in. An Adelaide journalist and the film's co-writer, Ed Kavanagh, is also here. Ed, great to see you. Thank you for coming in. How did this come about, this particular story of where did the idea come from? What made you, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Mongolian ice. How did this come into the realm of you two?
So like way back in 2018, I was, as you do, sort of hitchhiking across Mongolia for about a month, working as a journalist, traveling around the world. And, you know, as a journalist, sometimes a story kind of really takes hold. Mm-hmm. Was in this very remote part of the country, spoke to a bunch of the locals there, and learnt about this very traditional but dying practice where we effectively have young men going and herding this enormous aggregated herd of horse in the middle of the winter as both a very practical agricultural measure to protect the animals, but also as a bit of a coming of age ritual. And that story sort of stuck with me. I didn't report it at the time, but we came back to Adelaide. I remember a couple of years after that, Ben and I actually went and got a beer at the Excelsior. And I thought this was a story that demanded to be told via film, you know, beyond just a written piece. So that's sort of, the rest was history, really. We kind of got together, we started building the project, you know, pictures and everything, and seeking funding from there. And we went back in 2022 and did a sort of written version of this story, the original, I guess, article, which this, I guess, generated the rest of the film. And but from there, really, it was handed over to Ben, and he sort of assembled a team, and you know, was the one who was, on the ground for months at a time in the middle of just these extraordinary conditions.
First and foremost, the Excelsior, one of our great sponsors, so nice work on that. That's commercial radio at its very best. We love the Barrows. We should say too, on our live stream for Complete Care, you can actually see the trailer as we're talking of your documentary. So Ben, let's talk about this, because when this idea comes up, anytime I see, so to give the premise, as you mentioned, it's 2 young Mongolian men who embark on a 150-day journey, and it's a quest to lead these 2,000 horses across the icy valley. You've got to film that. You've got to be there for that too. And you think, man, that would be so difficult for the boys, let alone the crew. And I was just saying to you off air, during my 2-year period on McLeod's Daughters, we dealt with the heat of Gawler and the cold of Gawler. And there were days when you just went, man, we shouldn't be standing in a paddock. It's too cold. You decided to go to Mongolia numerous times. What temperatures are we talking? What was it like, the experience?
Yeah, it hit about minus 40 at points.
Your camera can't like minus 40, can it?
The thing is that the camera lasted longer than we did completely. So we would only probably be able to shoot on those days maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we had to seek refuge and warm up a bit. The cameras would last way longer than that, but we just physically couldn't actually push past those certain moments.
So is it an internal struggle? Because on one hand, you'd be so excited what you're seeing, what you're shooting. On the other hand, it would just be physical hell. I mean, minus 40 would be tough.
Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where, you've got these 2 boys in front of you who are completely emasculating you. So you're trying your best to
shirts off, minus 40.
Yeah, just to lift and be a part of the elements as much as possible. You find yourself, pushing yourself further and further because they're doing these incredible, superhero, things in front of you that you just want to back it up and say, we can do this as well.
I'm looking at it now. So here's the beautiful. I mean, there's so many beautiful shots in this, but the one where the guy falls over on the horse, like that, I'd be done there. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm out of this project.
Yeah.
But what an extraordinary, first and foremost, part of history that you've been able to capture. And I imagine that there were so many hurdles for you, not just the conditions. How do you embed yourself with a completely different culture?
This is the thing. We were really conscious of that, wanted to be very sensitive in telling the story authentically and making sure that we were respecting the culture as much as we possibly could. From day one, we really engaged the community, with a great deal of sort of open-mindedness and allowed them to craft the story. We spoke to basically everyone in the in the valley, from the governors down to all the locals, and there was a huge enthusiasm from this community to tell their story. There'd been an idea with some of them to kind of tell this in some format at some point. One of our co-producers from Mongolia was one of his dreams to tell this story at some point, and that's so there was an appetite within the valley to tell this, and that's we just lent into that and kind of worked with them from there.
As exciting as it would have been for you guys, I'm sure you guys were the novelty for them too. All of a sudden, here's a camera crew that are not normally around this age-old tradition.
Yeah, definitely. They all banded together because they just couldn't believe that we wanted to do this. They were just shocked that we were even remotely interested in coming over and seeing what they do. They couldn't quite fathom how excited we were about what is happening, and for them it's just so normal. And we're just sitting there just, looking at what they do day to day, and it's just unbelievable. And they're just so used to it.
Doesn't it give you a great life's perspective, travel? Like you think about all the issues in your life. You are not going out for 150 days in minus 40 herding 2,000 horses.
Yeah, at the age of 16, 17.
16, yeah. It's just bonkers, isn't it? Do you keep a connection with them afterwards?
Yeah, I'm actually still Facebook friends with them, and we get video calls from them in the middle of the Mongolian steppe, still on their horses, and they'll call us from... Yeah, we still have a pretty fun little relationship with the boys.
I imagine. But see, everything that comes with documentary making is that, so you get the germ of the idea. You see that, right, this is a film. Now we've got expertise, we've got the people we need. We've ticked all the boxes and spoken to the people. And then you got funding. You got everything else to do. How was that process for you?
Look, it was definitely challenging. There's something about this story, though. As I said, the first time we heard about it, it kind of laid itself out in front of you. It was very unique like that, where there was such an obvious appetite and for this story to be told by the community, by us, by everyone we spoke to. There was a kind of, a bit of a force behind this film. So definitely a challenge to get the funding over the line. That being said, every step of the way, we've just happened to be, clearing that hurdle. And I think that the story resonated on so many levels as this sort of climate and vulnerability story, but also this coming of age and really healthy story about masculinity. And a lot of those, I guess, aspects of this story resonated with, with funders and the general film scene.
Talk to us about the climate change element of it. So what are the boys facing? This has been going on for hundreds of years, this practice. Well, what's changed in more recent times than in the past?
Well, specifically, it's actually the winters are warming, or they're having earlier signs of warming. So the issue is if it gets too hot early on in the winter, let's say there's snowfall, and then it heats up earlier, that snow then melts, and then they're going to have another snowfall. And the problem is once that snow melts, a layer of ice is put all over the steppe, so the animals aren't actually able to penetrate through the ice and to eat the pasture.
Right.
So that's the main issue these days. So that's why there's this huge decline every winter and huge amounts of death across all of Mongolia.
There's also this remarkable storm event that happens often in the winter, but it's getting worse and worse, which is locally called the Zud, which is this sort of extreme cold snap with a ferocious wind and a lot of snow. And the word Zud sort of loosely translates into the devourer. And that's a storm event that can basically snap freeze animals. One of the reasons why the animals are herded in this film is because if they're in isolated groups, they're simply not going to be able to survive those storm events. So this combination of sort of warming conditions in one way, but then also more volatile freezing conditions as well.
So they moved the 2,000 horses from place to place through icy valleys to protect them, I guess, from the weather.
Yeah, every day. Every day they move them into a new spot.
It's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
In minus 40.
It's not dissimilar. You might have seen those Emperor Penguin videos back in the day, David Attenborough documentaries. They all herd together to keep warm. That's effectively what they're doing with these herds of horse.
And there are 16-year-old boys doing it, putting themselves in the elements, and you guys have put that all in a documentary called Iron Winter. Ben Gallotta is my guest, also Ed Kavanagh, the journalist and film as co-writer. So you get the funding, you make the documentary, and then you win awards. Like, it's been accepted, like people love it. When do we get to see it? What happens next? Because this is you guys have hurdles along the way. This is the life of documentary filmmakers, isn't it? It's not the easy, let's make a documentary, everyone will watch it, everyone will enjoy it, we'll go accept our Academy Award and we'll go home. What happens from here now that the film's done?
Now it's this big gamble of waiting on festivals and finding out the announcements of where it's going to be screened across the world. So we had our world premiere in Switzerland, which was incredible at a festival called Visions de Real. And then we have our international premiere at Melbourne International Film Festival, which is incredible because they help fund it in the early stages. And we're hoping in Adelaide Film Festival this year, but we have to wait and see for that one. But regardless, we'll do about a 6-month festival run around the world, and then it should go to theatres early next year. We haven't confirmed dates on that yet, but at some point early next year, we'll go to theatres for a few weeks, and then streaming services across the world. So,
and then eyeballs everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you finding so I know that you Repeater Productions is the name of your is it fair to say that over the 10 or so years you've gradually worked your way up smaller projects, things that you've done to this is your first fully fledged kind of full length?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why as soon as Ed told me about the project, we jumped at it. We thought, we got to go for this one. This is crazy. I think this will get us into that next echelon of filmmaking.
Is it everything you hoped it would be? So I'm getting older, right? And I've found myself in the last, and I think a lot of people are like this, I don't want to waste my time now with just nonsense. So now I'm watching pretty much live sport and documentaries. That's pretty much all I watch now. And I think sometimes I watch these and I take it for granted that the 90 to 120 minutes we enjoy on the screen, you think about all the time, effort, money, blood, sweat and tears that goes into that. Like, are you able to sit back at the end of the process and go, we've really achieved something good?
Can I just jump in? One of the remarkable things about this project is that original story that we identified is absolutely truly told in the final product. Often these documentaries evolve and they change and shift around, but this has just stayed consistent the whole way through. And from my end, as not the filmmakers who were embedded for the full 3 or 4 months during the winter, just seeing what they produce is sort of exactly as I imagined this practice to be, and it's just a remarkable testament to Ben and their crew who are on the ground for all those months.
Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I definitely think so. the end product has been, it's incredible. I'm so proud of it because it's just been so difficult for all of us. You know, these first films as well are so underpaid. So, you know, we're working tirelessly for little to no money at all as well over the past 3 years. So it is a real huge sacrifice. And so to be able to do it for the first time, you just have to go through those steps and just, you know, kind of, but see, coming from onto the other side now, it's very rewarding, but it's also very, it's very tough because now we go, oh no, we have to do another one.
Yeah, you do. Well, so have you got plans already, or are you just at the moment you're just celebrating everything that you're doing?
We're mostly just celebrating.
Okay.
We've got a few ideas going, but you know,
all in places warm.
Yeah, I was going to say,
pretty much
go somewhere hotter. Do you get the sense of like the pride from Adelaide? I know we're parochial, but as soon as I saw the story, I thought I've got to get you guys in because I want to champion you and your cause and what comes next for people. Do you sense that here is a couple of guys from Adelaide who have got together and put out this film that will resonate globally? It's not just an Adelaide film.
Yeah, very much so, especially in the film community here as well. It's such a tight-knit community, so we've had so much love and support straight away, friends and family as well. So we're just so excited to show everybody here. So hopefully we can give some people some news soon.
What can we do to support you, apart from watching your trailer over and over, I guess, to get more people? Is there anything we can do, or is it in the hands of film people now?
Honestly, that's kind of it. It's just, you know, once it comes out and once we start really pushing it, just get some bums and seats in the theatres when it comes out, and yeah, that's all we can ask.
Does Repeater Productions do any other work? Can we get you some business? So do you do?
Oh yeah, we do
weddings, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, commercials, anything?
Corporates, business, commercial, you name it.
All right. Repeater Productions. Where are you?
We're in the city.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And Ed, what do we need to plug for you? Anything?
Just this film is good for now. I've got my hands in a few baskets, but
well done. Well, again, I love a great Adelaidean story, and this is just it. Like, it's the furthest thing away from Adelaide, probably. Fair to say, Mongolia in the middle of winter, but it's exceptional work. All right, so we'll be watching with interest for the Melbourne Film Festival. It's a walk up for the Adelaide Film. Who do I need to speak to? The Arts Minister? I'll fight the good fight for you boys, and then we'll hopefully see it in the cinemas. Early next year?
Early next year. Yeah.
Next year. Well done, Iron Winter, Ben Gallotta, Adelaide filmmaker, congratulations. Co-writer of the film and Adelaide journalist Ed Kavanagh. Well done, boys. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Get your speeches ready. I can see big things for you boys. Iron Winter, coming soon, folks, to a big or small screen near you.
Join Rowie and Timmy G in the studio every afternoon with 5AA's live video stream of The Sport Show. Visit Stillwell Hyundai Nailsworth and take a test drive today to find your perfect Hyundai car. Main North Road, Nailsworth.
How many times a day do you experience hand or wrist pain? If simple things like cooking, holding a cup of tea or coffee, and recreational activities are giving you pain, do something about it. At Grip Surgery, we specialise in hand trauma, carpal tunnel syndrome, osteoarthritis, joint replacement, sports injuries, nerve pain, and more. To get a grip on the life you loved before, free from hand pain, visit gripsurgery.com.au. That's gripsurgery.com.au.
Adelaide, can you hear the roar? The British and Irish Lions are coming in a one-night-only event this July. 6 nations will clash in the heart of Adelaide at the iconic Adelaide Oval. Witness the pinnacle of international rugby when the best of England, Ireland, Wales and Scotland join forces to take on a combined Australia and New Zealand juggernaut. One tour, one chance. Don't miss out. Secure your tickets now at Ticketek.
Every song is a love letter in the Binge series that critics are calling absolutely stellar.
You never forget the boy who makes you your first mixtape.
Mixtape, now streaming on Binge.
For over 45 years, Statesman Windows, a third-generation South Aussie family-run business, has helped home renovators and builders bring design, charm and natural light into their homes. With industry-leading turnaround times, Statesman Windows continues to offer value for money, backed up by great service and advice right across Metro and regional South Australia. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows.
Windows when and where you want them. Windows when and where you want them.
Here at
FIVEAA. We're all about supporting local. Here's who you can support around Adelaide. Give dinner a spin at Roulette's Tavern. Every Tuesday night, grab a schnitty for only $17. Roulette's Tavern, next to Pal's, Kings Road, Parafield. Grab your $75 travel voucher at SA Weekend Escapes today. Your voucher, your choice, your escape. Visit saweekendescapes.com.au. FIVEAA, supporting local business.
At Holistic Care SA, we are focused on capacity building, not just care. We help people with disability gain the support, skills and confidence for independent living. Holistic Care SA helps our clients make sense of their NDIS plans, understand their options and connect with the right services, not just the available ones. For a friendly chat about supported independent living, visit holisticcaresa.com.au, because everyone deserves the chance to become who they're meant to be.
Here's another powerful reason to choose Tyre Power. As Australia's biggest independent tyre retailer, you get the power to choose from a huge range of leading tyre brands. No hard sell, no confusing jargon. Visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 for your local independent owner.
5AA Afternoons with Leith Forrest.
9 minutes to 4. Sports show coming up very shortly. Scott Camperelli sitting in for Stephen Rowe. Tim Jennifer will be here in just one moment. We'll speak to Campo, find out what's coming up after 4 o'clock. Couple of text messages before we get to that. And apologies, Michael, I only just saw your text. He said, are they I'll get the pronunciation wrong of this, Przewalski horses that the guys are talking about in Mongolia? If so, we have them at Minato. You know, I just text Ben, and he probably doesn't have his phone working in the lift, but I'll try and find out for you, Michael, before the show is done. Paul says the AFL is the worst administered sport in the world. Andrew says, I have daughters. I want a league that can attract women to the game, but I'm turning it off when it's hard to watch. It's like watching a lower standard competition, low skills plays and as fast, low goal scoring. If it's skills, I'm happy to wait. Campo joins us to talk about what's coming up. Did you hear the story? Did you read Caroline's article about the AFLW?
I did, yes.
You're someone who's lived a life of footy. Where do you sit on this? Because it's, on one hand, you want to support it. On another hand, it's a lot of money for the AFL to be losing.
Well, it is. And I guess particularly, you know, when I guess the AFL or the men's competition went through COVID, when there was a lot of money taken out of the soft cap, you know, from that perspective. So, and that also obviously gets tipped back into the women's as well. So I've got a daughter that plays footy, so I'm pro the AFLW program, but, you know, I'm still worried about the generation of the income, you know, which is essentially, it's still a business, isn't it, at the end of the day? So,
do you think they need to get to a point where it's almost, and I don't mean this to sound rude, but it's almost know your place a little bit, like we're wanting to rush it too far. When you started in 95, did you worked at the printers, I reckon?
No, I was an electrician. I was still finishing my trade. Okay. Yeah, so working 40 hours a week and then having to go and train and play on the weekend. So not a lot of downtime, Leith. But, you know, that's the way it was. And the money wasn't as it is now, there's no question. But I'm a big believer, I heard you say before, I reckon we've gone too hard too early, you know, from that perspective.
And now they want to bring in Tasmania. They want to play a full season.
I think, you know, when you watch it, they stand out, the girls that have grown up with it, haven't they?
Correct.
Compared to the ones that have either come from an alternate sport, whether that be basketball or netball. But I think it'll be, you know, our children's daughters, you know, they'll grow up with it and it'll be an everyday thing. Whereas, you know, at the moment, there's still that transition period, I think.
My daughter's just started at 14 and they love it. Like, and the skills aren't great. No. Some of them you can tell that they've been kicking for a while. But it doesn't matter. It's just the enjoyment out of it and the camaraderie that team sports bring. So
I tell you what, though, I do get worried because I've coached my daughters and there's a lot of near misses with just their awareness, you know, with the peripheral vision around the game, you know. So that's what I worry about as well, is we're so worried about the men's competition with the health and well-being, but the girls who haven't grown up with it, they're still a little bit behind as well.
There's zero filter. There's zero filter and knowledge of where the danger's coming from. You're right. We played a girl at North Haven a couple of weeks ago. She kicked a goal from the pocket that would have rivaled Tony Hall's. It was ridiculous. So
they stand out.
They do. It'll be interesting to see, but $50 million loss, TV ratings down, eyeballs down. They've got some work to do, the AFL, on that. Big show coming up from 4 o'clock, sitting in for Rowie again.
Yes, we've got Dean Margetts
umpire.
Umpire, yes.
So we're going to talk about the umpire contact, and what's happening there, particularly around the centre bounce, some of those things, and the rush behind clarity.
Look at Matt Rao. I mean, it's become the pick and roll of basketball. It's like use them for the block.
Well, that's been going on for years, to be fair, and we try and make it hard for the umpires as well, don't we?
Yep.
Like I've been on this, and we'll talk about it in the show. I remember when Mark Evans was in the chair at the AFL, they used to come and do a presentation every year, and I was a midfield coach, and the amount of time that you put on a centre bounce structure and the ball bounces sideways and they call play on, like it is sometimes a disadvantage. And I even look towards, and you think of the grand final, the build-up, the pressure on that umpire to get that right in that moment. And then there's the letdown, and it happened, in this year's grand final. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the rush behind, which we had Josh Worrell incident on the weekend where he got paid a free kick, and then the other end, Jack Viney wasn't paid. So we'll cover those.
Who was the first, quick trivia question for you, who was the first player that really poleaxed? Wasn't it one of the Bulldogs? Was it like Steve Crediuk or someone who literally poleaxed an umpire? And I'm going to look that up. I don't know.
Yeah, there'd be a few.
You've got to protect them, though. They're not expecting the contact.
No, absolutely they're not. But I think there's some things around it in terms of, and I think Brad Scott touched on it around going into the corridor, which is where teams want to sort of go through. So you're putting yourself in harm's way. But we'll talk to Jordan Butts. He's going to come on and talk to us. He's in great form. And he's obviously fighting for his spot as well, because Nick Murray's coming back through the sample. So
they don't have injuries, the Crows.
Yeah.
Look at the sample
they got Josh
team.
Rochelle, so
one.
Yeah, one.
There's a team over the border, we got 1 million.
Yep, and you need a bit of luck as well. Yeah. Port have got a few as well, so we'll get an update on a couple of those. And we've got Simon the Wizard Whitlock.
Oh, you love your darts.
180. Yes. Yep. Well, I wasn't quite 180, but I'm better.
Is he coming in?
He's not coming in, but we're going to get him on, and he's over as part of the promotion with the Lions and the Australian New Zealand rugby, but they're promoting the Premier Tour that's going to come to Australia.
Yep. I only say live because he's got great hair. You want to check out.
He's got a nice goatee.
He does. He'd be great live.
And he's got the great song that he comes on as well. So we might play that. And then we got Ned McHenry. We got our favourite Ned coming in talking about his fishing.
Well done. There's a lot going on there with the Aggie. Excellent work. Thank you, Campo. That's at the Heinrich Street Country Club, I think, or the whatever it's called, Music Hall in the city. Beautifully done. Thank you, Campo. Campo and Tim, Sport Show next.
Coming up next, Adelaide's only local sport show. It's the very latest in